Hi everyone, Gene Dexter with the Dexter Experience. Been a long time since I've posted a video on my channel. I just haven't had a lot to share. I always have a lot to say, but just haven't had a lot to share on YouTube. But wanted to do this one. I've been wanting to do this one for quite some time because there's a lot of good tutorials and a lot of good information out there about short-term rental hosting, but I don't see a lot yet about hyper successful hosting. And what I mean by that is folks like me who are kind of obsessed with short-term rental hosting as a lifestyle and business model. Just a little background about what's happened with me. I've generated 1 million US so far since starting this. My goal would be to have my first $1 million year fiscally. But so far it's 1 million in sales total, and I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn something really every day. The process just never stops. So I'd like to share some of the reasons why you wouldn't do this. Now, for complete transparency, so that you don't get too far into this vid before realizing that it's not for you. Understand that I'm really speaking to any individuals or small businesses that see the short-term rental market as a actual business. It's great if you're a host with a spare bedroom. That's how I started. Really, I had a spare bedroom in the Southern California desert. And soon realized that I could scale it. And so if you have that and you're satisfied with that, and it's just what I call the hobby host, that's wonderful. And stay with that, because you're going to meet incredible people. You're a lot of seniors get into it for company, basically, and they have the spare space, so they offer it, or people are depending on it for a little extra income to support their overhead. Whatever the reason is, continue doing that. What I'm speaking about is today, what I'd like to speak about is the reasons not to do this as a vocation or as a business. So the number one reason not to do this would be that it's going to take over your life. It's going to be completely pervasive in your life. I'm a licensed broker in Washington State, specifically Seattle, Bellevue, the metro, area there. And I can tell you that now that the Dexter Experience and the DexterExperience.com is doing, what it's doing, I am no longer really, able to make other things fit. With it. This is a constant animal or constant machine that has to be fed. It's oil or whatever you want to call it. It's complete immersion in, servicing clients and taking care of homes and watching calendars and, all of these things that it takes. A huge time suck. Sometimes for little reward, sometimes a little better, but understand it will, take over your, life. So that's, I would say, was the number one reason not to do this. Secondly, you're going to be always at the ready and on call. And that is because in this business, your homes have to be completely set and ready to go. I would say by 3 o'clock every day, three in the afternoon. Now, to make that happen, obviously there's so many things that that need to occur behind the scenes. Now, why do I say 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? Well, that's a check-in time, and the tech now is such that you're able to, right up to the moment of your deadline, you could attract a guest or group into your home. And more the tech is training people to do this on-demand thing where they're going to be contacting you from the airport and saying, hey, I like your home, I like the situation, can we check in? And so if your home's not ready, you're not clean, or you thought that the tech wasn't that sensitive that you could get away with it, maybe do it tomorrow. Well, if you want to be $1 million host, you're going to want to be at the ready, and your team is going to want to be at the ready at all times. And so understand that the calendar is a live animal there too. So that would be the second reason not to do it. Is just that there's this, just this constant attention, that you have to stand, because in 5 minutes you could get booked if you're using the tech correctly. The third thing that I would say, as far as not doing this, would be that the sites are becoming kind of harder to work with. The websites are and the people behind it. This is a growth industry. There's a lot going on. And I kind of empathize with, like, Airbnb, for example. I kind of empathize with the employees there because, I've never worked for them. I don't know, how things work, behind the scenes. But I would imagine that, when it comes to these resolutions and arbitrations, that it's got to be wearing down people at every level. Because what happens with me is, like, every 3 weeks or so, I'll get some ridiculous thing where I've got to ask for some funds or some additional money because they ruined the towels, or the guest, messed up the sheets, or they had a guest count that wasn't accurate. So I put them into arbitration. Well, that arbitration goes to an Airbnb representative or Booking.com person or HomeAway person or whatever, who has to take a look at it. But they're looking at 60 others, and they're looking at 60 other arguments and silly things and all of that. So it's got to be wearing people down, when they have to make, decisions. Sometimes in my favor, sometimes not in my favor, but they're doing this all day, every day, looking at probably the worst, things that are far worse than what I deal with, and it's got to be grading them, And so what's happening is that it's becoming more and more difficult to get service, from Airbnb and the websites to resolve these, issues that happen, on the ground. And like I say, at the end of the day, I am on customer service's side. I get it, because they're juggling so many of these things. I'm not the only one in the world, doing this. From what I hear, it's, from that website alone, it's 635,000 hosts with over 4 million properties. So I get that, but it's a reason not to do this, because it will suck your day down. It really will. Over, whatever, a $60 arbitration or $200 arbitration over some silliness that, the guest should have resolved with the host to begin with, but they don't. And so now you got to bring in, the guns, from Airbnb and San Francisco, Ireland, all of these call centers. And it's becoming problematic. It really is, because whereas I used to 99% of the time get what I want, now I'm lucky if I'm at 50 to 75% of these arbitrations. So another reason not to do this. The fourth thing, which kind of works with the second thing, is that it is a lifestyle play. I really do live out of my suitcases. I really do. And that's because I'm in 3 countries. I've got a lot of properties that I represent as well as my own. And to be a successful host or successful business, you've got to be, it's got to be more than just a passive investment. You've got to really go in, coach the team, make sure everything is, right, that your standard is upheld, that the touches that make it so special are there when you get there. And so at any time, I'm jetting in, to do a night or two just to make sure that the experience is up to my standard. And that's another reason why you shouldn't, do this unless you're investing in things that you wouldn't live in. That you would live in. You really don't want to do this because, hosting something so personal as a home and guests on vacation or guests with business needs or whatever, it's so personal that you really don't, want to be making investments on things that you never intend on living in. This is a totally different animal. This is not the hotel business. This is not the quick overnight stay thing. This is truly a lifestyle experience. And if you want to be successful, at this, you have to set everything up, and it's very expensive. You have to set it up in a way where you want to, actually, live in these places when you're in town. So don't do it if it's just some silly corporate thing or whatever, because guests can tell. Guests will be able to tell if it's not personalized, if it's not cared for, or you don't have a point of view with the home. So don't do it if you can't do that and you can't fit that into the budget. Present things that you would be willing to live in. Let's see, what else? Don't do it don't host if you take everything so personally. It's taken me a long time to understand this, and I'm still working on this, because homes are a highly personal experience at the end of the day. I put my back into this business, and so when things happen and silliness goes on, I've really had to learn, sometimes the hard way, to back away and to give it some perspective, and also to take the ultimate responsibility when something doesn't go right. So don't do this if you're a particularly sensitive person about your furnishings, belongings, this, that, the other, whatever it is. You've got to have a something of a Buddhist mentality or take on your investment, and that's hard to do. So don't do it if that's not going to work for you, and you get your blood pressure up every time something silly goes down. And there's a lot of silliness that goes down. So listen, I don't want to take this above 15 minutes for today. It's really just kind of my first first even announcing to my channel that I'm in this and doing this. I'm on a lot of other platforms, and a lot of people know I do this, but on YouTube, this is really the first of this kind of content. And I hope that it's given a little bit of insight, not everything. I don't want to pack it all into one video and try to get it as a one and done. I'll come back, talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking to be $1 million, short-term rental host, subscribe, come and see me. I'm happy to share it with you. It's not rocket science. A lot of it's common sense, but it is a lot of work. But there are a lot of cool rewards that come from it, not just financially. Thanks very much. I'm Gene with the DexterExperience.com. And conversely, if you have a home that you've been considering, just with some spare space or an extra home or vacation home that's underutilized, give me a call or find me online. I would love to take a look at your situation. I've got very reasonable costs for what I do. I include a little too much sometimes, with the presentation of your home and how we market it. So I'm happy to do that too. But in the meantime, if you're hosting, keep at it. Or if you want to host, keep at it. You'll get there. And I'm here to help. All right. You all take care. Have a great day.